As the castle neared completion, few people but Ludwig and one or two intimates ever set foot inside. Yet during its construction, the king spent many hours here in his customary solitude. As he turned his back on government duties, tensions with Parliament grew. Bavaria's clergy and narrow-minded aristocracy complained about the money he was spending on Wagner. After meeting his idol in 1864, Ludwig moved him to Munich and supported him lavishly. Finally, in a newspaper, Ludwig's enemies accused Wagner of sedition. This image of a plague, this paid music maker, this man has the intention of isolating the king and exploiting him for the treasonable ideas of a revolutionary party. In less than 2 years, these attacks forced the king to make Wagner leave Bavaria. "You have to believe me," Ludwig wrote the composer. "I had to act like this. My love for you is eternal." For Ludwig, this was a turning point. The mantle of his office was becoming unbearably heavy, and the rift of trust between Bavaria's government and its king widened into a chasm. In Neuschwanstein's Singers' Hall, Ludwig made good on his pledge to Wagner. Designed for operas that would never break its stillness, the hall is decorated with scenes from the legend of Parsifal, the epic poem of knighthood that inspired Wagner's greatest opera. Theater painters created this artwork following Ludwig's specifications. Here, Parsifal does battle with the Red Knight. King Ludwig might have identified with the romantic hero's ordeal. His enemies weren't through with him yet. Echoed also in the Singers' Hall is the swan motif, important both to the Parsifal legend and to the king. Swan Lake lay outside his childhood home. By naming his lofty retreat Neuschwanstein, Ludwig meant to give it the qualities the swan possessed in German mythology. The swan represents what is holy and pure, free of the earth, and so not of the earth. In his anguish, Ludwig wrote to Wagner, "Oh, how futile is this world! How miserable, how cruel so many men! Their lives are centered in the close circle of triviality. Oh, if only this world lay behind me." Swans are also famous for their metamorphosis. Their brown offspring molt and turn blindingly white, pure. Now reaching middle age, King Ludwig's transformation went the other way. Artwork in the king's living room picks up where the Parsifal legend leaves off. In Wagner's opera Lohengrin, Parsifal asks his son to defend Elsa of Brabant. All behold the miracle of the Holy Grail, visible only to those who are pure in spirit. Wagner never laid eyes on the shrine Ludwig had created for him at Neuschwanstein. Banished from Bavaria, he never once set foot inside. But through letters, he kept in touch with his former patron. To a friend he wrote, "The king is unfortunately so noble and brilliant, so magnificent and soulful, that I fear his life must vanish like a fleeting stream in this coarse world." Wagner might have feared for the young king's mind had he seen this. Between the living room and the study, Ludwig built a cave, another scene from another of the master's operas, this from Tannhauser, about a German minstrel and crusader. Now, even Ludwig's beloved subjects referred to him as the fairy tale king. Obesity had begun to corrupt his good looks. He grew addicted to drugs prescribed by doctors for chronic insomnia and excruciating toothaches. His weight kept him from riding and hiking. He withdrew from friends, the local farmers, and worse, his beloved Alps. members of Ludwig's family wondered about his sanity. His devotion to literature, here the Germanic saga of Siegfried, took on the pall of an obsession. Madness, it was said, ran in his blood. His brother Otto would spend years in an asylum. His aunt Alexandra maintained a lifelong conviction that she had swallowed a glass piano. Ludwig's eccentricities breathed life into the rumors. Sleigh rides under the cover of night were the king's response to his increasingly painful shyness. At Neuschwanstein, the king retreated to a box inside a box, his fantastically elaborate bedroom. There he regularly slept away the day, rising only when the moon was high to haunt the fantastic halls no one else could see. As early as the 1870s, the royal family had seen enough. They began measures to have Ludwig declared insane. The king, they reasoned, was no longer fit to wear the crown of Bavaria, figurehead or not. Their real concerns were less patriotic. The titanic amounts of money Ludwig spent came out of their family coffers. With indulgences like this sumptuous chapel, festooned with pictures of France's Louis XIV, Ludwig was running through their entire fortune. In a single generation, he would fritter away what 800 years of royalty had amassed. But the lord of Neuschwanstein castle was unrepentant. To the contrary, the dreamers spent more.